The broken mirror reflected a multitude of shards, turning the bathroom into a kaleidoscope of smudges and reflections. The body of 17-year-old Deisha Brooks lay lifeless in the filled tub, one arm hanging over the edge. Her dark hair, braided into thin pigtails with colorful beads, floated on the surface of the water. Her eyes were open, a look of surprise and fear in them. A neighbor who had come to borrow a cup of sugar and discovered the body through the ajar bathroom door was still screaming in the living room when Detective Malia Onyeko arrived. Her partner, Officer Luis Ramirez, tried to calm the woman down. "Detective Onyeko," Malia introduced herself, showing her badge. "I'd like to ask you a few questions." The neighbor, who introduced herself as Shanice Boyd, sat on the couch, wrapping her arms around herself and rocking back and forth. "I just came by to get sugar," she repeated. "Nafisa and I are always borrowing groceries from each other." The door was unlocked, so I knocked and entered. I called out. No one answered. And then I saw... Her voice trailed off. Malia nodded and headed into the bathroom, where the forensics team was already working on collecting evidence. The smell of iron and bleach hit her nose as she entered. The detective put on latex gloves and leaned over the tub. "What do we have?" she asked the medical examiner. "A girl, approximately 16 to 18 years old, presumed dead between 20 and 23 hours last night. Clear signs of violent death, strangulation marks on the neck." Malia examined the body carefully. The bruises on her neck stood out as dark stains on the girl's chocolate skin. Fallen bottles of shampoo and shower gel were scattered around the tub, shards of mirror on the floor. "Looks like there was a struggle," Malia remarked. "Check under the fingernails, see if there's DNA from the attacker." "We've already taken samples," the expert nodded. "And something else interesting. They found a wet towel with traces of blood in the laundry basket. Maybe the killer was trying to wipe himself." Malia noticed a broken cell phone on the floor next to the toilet. "Take the phone away. Need to recover the data if possible." Exiting the bathroom, the detective looked around the rest of the house, a small but tidy two-story building in not the most affluent neighborhood in New Haven. Deisha's lilac-colored room was littered with plush toys and decorated with posters of musical artists. School books and notebooks lay on the table. Nothing unusual at first glance. The front door swung open, and a middle-aged woman with the same dark skin tone as the dead girl appeared on the threshold. "Where is my daughter?" she shouted. "What is going on here?" Detective Onyeko quickly approached the woman. "Mrs. Brooks, I'm Detective Malia Onyeko. I'm very sorry, but I have some bad news." Nafisa Brooks collapsed to her knees when she heard of her daughter's death. Her scream, full of pain and despair, cut through the air, making everyone present wince. Behind her, an elderly man leaning on a cane, tall, thin, with a gray beard and tired eyes, entered the house. "What is the matter?" he asked in a hoarse voice. "Nafisa, why are you screaming?" "Abi, Deisha, our little girl," the woman said through sobs. Detective Onyeko introduced herself and the man. "Are you Deisha's father?" "Stepfather, Abiodun Banks, but everyone calls me Abi," he replied, leaning harder on his cane. "What happened to Deisha?" When Malia had told him of the girl's death, the old man's face had stiffened. He didn't cry, but his hand holding the cane trembled, and he sank heavily into the nearest chair. The officers asked the neighbor to leave, and Malia invited her parents into the living room to talk while the forensics team continued their work. "When was the last time you saw Deisha?" the detective asked. Nafisa, still sobbing, replied, "Yesterday morning before I left for work. I clean office buildings, worked a double shift. I didn't get home until this morning and went shopping with Abby when we got the call." "And you, Mr. Banks?" "I saw her last night around 6 Psy. Then I went to my friend Leroy's house to play chess, like every Tuesday. I came back around 11 now, but Daisy wasn't home. I figured she was at her boyfriend's." His voice shook. "What's her boyfriend's name?" "Zachary. Zachary Tembo," Nafisa replied. "They've been dating for almost a year now." Did he do this? Her eyes widened in horror. Did he kill my little girl? We're talking to everyone who was involved with your daughter, Malia replied cautiously. Do you know where we can find Zachary? They gave the guy's address and phone number. Malia continued asking questions about whether Disha had any enemies, if they had noticed anything unusual lately. The parents answered that Disha was an ordinary schoolgirl, studied well, didn't have any special problems. Did she have any problems? Maybe she had been upset lately? Malia asked. Nafisa and Abi looked at each other. She's been more withdrawn, said Nafisa. But I thought it was just adolescence. And you, Mr. Banks? I'm an old man, detective. I don't always understand young people. But Daisha was a good girl. Helped me when my joints hurt. Sometimes she'd read aloud to me. His words were interrupted by Malia's cell phone ringing. It was the officer she'd sent to pick up Zachary Tembo. An hour later, Zachary was sitting in the interrogation room of the police station. The 18-year-old with dreadlocks pulled back into a high ponytail was scared and confused. I don't understand, he repeated. How could this have happened? We talked to her on the phone yesterday afternoon. Everything was fine. Where were you last night between 8 and 11? Malia asked. At basketball practice at the school gym, and then the guys and I went to the diner on Dixwell Avenue. It's full of people, all of whom can vouch for it. When was the last time you saw Daisha? The day before yesterday. We went to the movies, Zachary answered, his eyes filling with tears. I loved her, you know. I would never hurt her. Did she tell you about any problems? Maybe someone threatened her? Zachary shook his head, but then hesitated. Well, there was one weird thing. She'd been talking a lot lately about wanting to leave New Haven. Said she had some kind of plan. I thought she meant college or something, but she was kind of, secretive about it. Malia made a note in her notebook. Have you two been fighting lately? No, I mean, the usual little things. But a couple weeks ago she got distant. I thought maybe she was seeing someone, but she said she wasn't. After talking to Zachary, the detective checked his alibi. Several people confirmed that he was at practice and then at the diner at the alleged time of the murder. What's more, the diner's security cameras recorded his presence. Malia returned to the office where the preliminary forensic results were waiting for her. What she read made her frown. According to the medical examiner's report, Disha Brooks was about 8 weeks pregnant. I wonder if Zachary knew that, she muttered, and reached for the phone. Hi, this is Detective Onyeko again. I need to speak to Zachary Tembo again. When the guy was brought in for the second time, Malia asked without preamble, Did you know that Daisha was pregnant? Zachary's face expressed such genuine surprise that it couldn't have been an act. What? No, that's impossible. Why impossible, Zachary? He lowered his eyes. We haven't had intimacy in about 3 months. Disha said she wasn't ready, and I respected her decision. Malia studied his face carefully. Are you sure about this? Absolutely. I swear to you. If she was pregnant, his eyes widened. Then she was with someone else. After her second conversation with Zachary, Malia headed back to the Brooks house. The forensics team had finished their work, but the tape enclosing the crime scene was still in place. Nafisa and Abi stopped at a relative's house. Malia scrutinized the bathroom once more. Signs of a struggle, a broken mirror, overturned bottles. The victim had fought back. On the floor, she noticed small drops of blood leading to the laundry basket. Forensics had already removed the bloody towel, but Malia still looked inside and noticed something else, the edge of a crumpled piece of paper. Pulling it out with tweezers, it was a pharmacy receipt dated 3 weeks earlier. In Daisha's bedroom, the detective took another look every inch of the place. Under the mattress, she found an envelope with several $100s, the girl's savings. In the closet, everything was neatly folded. On the table among the textbooks found a diary in a shiny cover, but inside there were only notes about school affairs and some poems. Nothing remarkable. Back at the station, Malia looked through the crime scene photos. The lab had sent over the first results. They'd found blood and skin particles underneath Daisha's fingernails that didn't belong to her. DNA was sent for analysis. Daisha's phone was badly damaged, but technicians were able to partially recover the data. Most of the messages from the last few days had been deleted, which in itself was suspicious. Malia contacted the medical examiner. "Dr. Chen, anything else on the Brooks case?" "Yes, Detective. Cause of death is strangulation, but the victim was struck with a heavy object to the back of the head, which probably stunned her. Judging by the shape of the wound, it could have been a heavy bottle or a figurine." "What about time of death?" "Between 20 and 22 hours, at the latest." And one more detail. Water was found in the lungs, indicating that the victim was still breathing when she was in the bathtub. Malia thought for a moment. Zachary had an alibi for this time. Nafisa claimed she was working late, and Abby was at a friend's house. We'd have to check their statements. The detective decided to talk to the girl's stepfather again. She found him at the home of Nafisa's relatives, a small apartment on the other side of town. Abby was sitting in a chair, staring out the window with a blank stare. "Mr. Banks, I need to ask you a few questions," Malia said, sitting down across from him. "You mentioned that you were playing chess with a friend. I need his name and contacts for confirmation." Abby gave Leroy Simmons contacts, and Malia wrote them down. "How long have you been married to Nafisa?" 6 years. We met at church. I'm a widower. She was alone with her daughter. We found each other." "And how was your relationship with Daisha?" Abby tensed up a little. "It was good. She was a good girl, smart, loved to read." "Did you know she was pregnant?" The cane fell out of the old man's hands, hitting the floor with a loud clatter. His face contorted with shock. "What did you say?" "The medical examination showed that Daisha was pregnant. About 8 weeks." "That's impossible," Abby whispered. "She was so young. Who could have—" Her boyfriend Zachary claimed they hadn't had intimacy in months. Abby picked up the cane and gripped it tightly in his hands. "I don't know, Detective. Maybe he's lying, or was there someone else? Daisha never talked to me about such things." Malia watched his reaction carefully. "Where's Nafisa now?" "She went to the store. She needed a distraction. This tragedy. She was destroyed by grief." After leaving the in-laws' house, Malia went to check on Abby's alibi. Leroy Simmons, an elderly man living in the nursing home, confirmed that he had played chess with Abby from 6 until about 10:30 in the evening. The next step was to check Nafisa's alibi. Malia went to the office building where she worked as a cleaner. The supervisor confirmed that Nafisa had indeed worked the evening shift yesterday, but could not say exactly what time she had left because she had left the building earlier. Back at the station, Malia laid out all the available evidence and facts on the table. Bruises on her neck, signs of a struggle, blood under the victim's fingernails, pharmacy receipt, pregnancy, deleted cell phone messages. Something about the family's testimony didn't add up. Zachary seemed genuinely unaware of the pregnancy and had a solid alibi. If not him, who was the father of the baby? And who could have wanted Daisha dead? The morning greeted Malia Onyeko with a dreary rain. The drops drummed on the roof of the police car as it pulled up to the office building where Nafisa Brooks worked. After yesterday, the detective had more questions than answers, and some inconsistencies in Daisha's mother's testimony needed to be verified. She was met in the lobby by the manager of the cleaning company, a full woman with a tired face. "Mrs. Robinson? I'm Detective Onyeko. We spoke on the phone yesterday." Yes, come in." The woman led Malia into a small office. "It's a terrible tragedy. Poor Nafisa is devastated." "How long have you known her?" "Almost 4 years. She's always been a reliable worker. Never late, never missed a shift." Malia opened her notebook. "Mrs. Robinson, I need to confirm what time Nafisa finished work the day she was killed." The manager frowned. "Normally the evening shift ends at 11, but—" She hesitated. "Nafisa had asked to be let off early, said she wasn't feeling well. I let her go around 9, Malia looked up from her notebook. Are you sure? Yes. I closed the door behind her myself. I tried to offer to call a cab, but she refused, said she could get there on her own. That doesn't match what Nafisa told me, Malia said thoughtfully. Maybe she'd gotten her days mixed up. Lately, Nafisa had been kind of distracted. I caught her crying in the back room a few times. When I asked her what was wrong, she'd wave it off, say she was just tired. Malia recorded this information. Nafisa had claimed that she had worked late into the night and had only returned home in the morning. It now emerged that she had left work at 9 in the evening, just at the time of the alleged murder. Back at the police station, Malia met with the medical examiner, who brought back the test results. Blood was found under the victim's fingernails, Dr. Chen said, handing Malia a folder. The DNA is consistent with a woman of African American descent. We need samples for comparison. Do we have DNA samples from the mother and stepfather? Yes, we did yesterday. We should have results in a few hours. What about paternity? Fetal DNA indicates the father is definitely not Zachary Tembo. We matched his samples. There's a complete discrepancy. Malia tapped her pen on the table, pondering the information. Who is the father then? For that, we need to compare it with other samples. Do you have any suspects? The detective hesitated. Maybe. Keep working, Dr. Chen. The next item on Malia's list was the Brooks house. She wanted to take another look at Daisha's room. Maybe she'd missed something important. After getting her keys from the officer guarding the crime scene, she went up to the girl's bedroom. Malia was more methodical this time. She checked every drawer, every shelf. Under the bed, she found a stack of magazines, nothing special. Then the roughness of the floorboards by the window caught her attention. Squatting down, Malia found one board slightly raised. Carefully, she picked it up and found a hiding place, and in it, a shabby cloth-covered journal. Unlike the shiny diary on the table, this one was written in small handwriting. Malia opened it and began to read. September 12th. I can't believe this is happening. What's going on between me and A? It's wrong, I know, but I think I'm in love. He says he's never met anyone like me, that I'm special. Z doesn't understand anything. He's a nice guy, but he's such a boy. And A is a real man. Malia flipped a few pages. September 25th. My mom looked at me strangely today. I think she suspects something. I'm afraid. If she finds out, she'll kill me. Literally. October 3rd. E and I talked about the future. He said he loved me and wanted us to be together. Suggested we move away. He had money. We could start fresh somewhere in the South. I said yes. It's crazy, but I want to be with him so badly. October 10th. The test came back positive. I'm pregnant. I don't know what to do. I'm so scared, but E said he'll take care of us. We'll leave in 2 weeks. I've already started packing. Mom shouldn't suspect anything. The last entry was dated the day before the murder. October 20th. We leave tomorrow. Tickets bought. I'm so nervous, but happy too. Finally getting away from this house, this city. We're going to be a family. Me, A, and our baby. The hardest part is telling my mom. A says it's best to leave a note, but I want to talk to her face to face. She deserves that, no matter what. I hope someday she'll understand and forgive us. Malia closed the journal, feeling everything fall into place. A was clearly Abby, Daisha's stepfather. He was the father of her child, and they were planning to run away together. That explained the strange behavior Daisha was exhibiting that Zachary had mentioned. The detective continued her search, and in the depths of the closet she found a small travel bag, already half-packed. Inside were clothes, a few personal items, and an envelope. In the envelope, Malia found a bus ticket to Miami for October 21st, for today. Malia called the station. I need a warrant for the arrest of Abiodun Banks on suspicion of having sexual relations with a minor. Back at the station, she learned that Abby had already been brought in for questioning. Before speaking to him, Malia decided to have another chat with Brooke's neighbor. Shanice Boyd met her at her house across the street. "Detective Onyeko, come in. I still can't believe what happened. Poor Daisha." "Mrs. Boyd, I need to ask you some questions," Malia said as she walked into the living room. "Did you know the Brooks family well?" "Pretty well. Nafisa and I have coffee sometimes, talk about the news. She's a good woman, but she's just had a hard life." "What do you mean?" "Well, raising her daughter alone, working multiple jobs. When Abby came along, everyone thought she was finally lucky. Old, but well-to-do. He treated them well, took care of them." "Did you notice anything unusual between Abby and Disha?" Shanice thought for a moment. "I can't say I did. He was attentive to her, yes. Gave her gifts, took her on excursions. But that's normal, isn't it? He's her stepfather." "What about Nafisa? She wasn't jealous?" "You know," Shanice lowered her voice, "I heard them fighting a couple times. Nafisa yelled something like, 'You don't look at her like a father.' I didn't pay much attention to it at the time." "When was this?" "About 3 weeks ago. And then, she stammered. "Then what?" "The day of the murder, I heard a terrible argument, all three of them screaming. First Nafisa, then Daisha, then Abi tried to calm them down. I could clearly hear Nafisa yelling, 'You betrayed me, and you destroyed our family.' That was around 8 p.m. Then it got quiet. I thought they had reconciled." Malia made a note in her notebook. It coincided with the time Nafisa was supposedly at work. "Do you have security cameras?" "Yeah. My husband installed them last year. They record everything that happens in front of the house." "I need footage from last night. It's very important." Shanice led Malia into a small room where there was a computer with security cameras connected. She opened the archive and found the time frame she needed. The tape clearly showed Nafisa Brooks entering her home at 7:30 in the evening, an hour and a half before the alleged time of the murder, and at the time she said she was supposed to be at work. "Can we get a copy of that tape?" "Of course, Detective. Anything that will help us find the killer." Back at the station, Malia discovered another interesting detail. Fresh scratches were visible on Nafisa's hands when she was photographed for the record. The woman had explained them away by saying that she had hurt herself at work, but now Malia knew that Nafisa had lied about her whereabouts. Dr. Chen called with the results of the blood work from underneath Daisha's fingernails. "Detective, we got a hit. The blood belongs to Nafisa Brooks." "What about paternity?" "The results point to Abiodun Banks, with a 99.7% probability." Malia thanked the doctor and headed to the interrogation room where Abi was waiting. The 70-year-old man looked exhausted, his hands shaking as he tried to hold onto a glass of water. "Mr. Banks," Malia began, sitting down across from him, "I need the truth about your relationship with Disha." Abi lowered his eyes. "I don't know what you mean." "I think you do. We found Daisha's diary, and we ran a DNA test. You're the father of the baby she was carrying." The old man's face contorted, his shoulders slumped. "I loved her," he whispered. "Not the way a father should, I know. But it was a real feeling. She was so bright, so alive. Not at all like her mother." "Were you planning to run away together?" Ebby nodded. "Tonight. We had tickets to Miami and from there to Mexico. I sold my share of the house. We had enough money to start a new life. Daisha wanted a baby. She was happy when she found out she was pregnant." "Who else knew about your plans?" "No one. We didn't tell anyone. It was our secret." "But Disha was going to tell her mother before she left?" Abby turned pale. "Yes. I talked her out of it, suggested she just leave a note. But Disha was stubborn, said she had to explain everything to Nafisa in person, that she couldn't just disappear." "When was she going to do it?" "Tonight, before I left for Leroy's. I didn't want to leave them alone, but Daisha insisted. Said it was her mother, and she would never hurt her." Malia watched Abby's reaction carefully. "Do you think Nafisa could have killed her daughter?" Ebby covered his face with his hands. "I don't know. Nafisa, She has a temper. And she adored me, literally idolized me. Our marriage wasn't a happy one, not for me. But I stayed with her out of pity, out of duty. And then there were these feelings for Daisha. I know it's wrong. I know I should have fought back. But I couldn't. What happened when you got home that night? The house was empty. I figured Daisha had gone to a friend's house after talking to her mother. Nafisa came back around midnight, said she was late for work. She looked strange, distant. But I didn't think much of it. In the morning we went shopping, and then the neighbors called. Malia closed her notebook. She had enough evidence to hold Nafisa Brooks on suspicion of murder. The scratches on her hands, her blood under Daisha's fingernails, the lies about her whereabouts at the time of the murder, the neighbor's testimony about the altercation, the video evidence proving she'd been home at the time of the murder. But before arresting Nafisa, Malia wanted to hear her version of events. She ordered the woman brought to the station. Nafisa Brooks looked exhausted when she was brought into the interrogation room. Her eyes were red from crying, her hands nervously fumbling with her napkin. "Mrs. Brooks," Malia began, "I know you lied to me about where you were the night of Daisha's murder." Nafisa shuddered. "I don't know what you mean. We have the surveillance video from the neighbor's security camera. You came home at 7:30, not the next morning as you claimed." The woman was silent, staring at the table. "Mrs. Robinson confirmed that she let you leave work around 9. A neighbor heard an argument between you, Daisha, and Abby around 8 in the evening. Your blood was found under your daughter's fingernails. There are scratches on your hands." Nafisa looked up, her eyes a mixture of fear and anger. "We found Daisha's diary," Malia continued, "and we know about her relationship with Abby. We know that he got her pregnant and that they were planning to run away together." "He seduced my girl," Nafisa suddenly screamed. "My little girl. I gave him a home, a family, love, and he stole my most precious possession. What happened on the evening of October 20th, Nafisa?" The woman fell silent, wrapping her arms around herself. "I came home early. I wasn't feeling well. And I heard them talking in Daisha's room. He was saying he loved her, that they would be happy together, that tomorrow their new life would begin. My daughter. She said he got her pregnant. My husband." Nafisa's voice trembled, her eyes filled with tears. When they left the room, I ran into them in the hallway. I started screaming, demanding an explanation. Daisha, she didn't deny it, said she loved him, that they were leaving together, that she'd finally be happy. Said I never understood her, that I was suffocating her with my love. What happened next? Abby went to play chess with a friend. Coward. Left us to sort things out on our own. We kept fighting. Daisha said I was old, ugly, that Abby never loved me, that I deserved to be alone. Nafisa fell silent, tears streaming down her cheeks. And then? She went to the bathroom, said she was tired of this conversation, that she needed to take a shower and calm down, that we'd talk when I was in a position to listen. Yeah, I followed her. I didn't mean to hurt her, I swear. I just wanted to talk. But she kept saying these horrible things, that I was never a good mother, that her child would never call me grandmother. And you hit her? Nafisa nodded, her face contorted with the pain of the memory. I grabbed the vial off the shelf and I didn't mean to. It was an accident. She fell, hit her head. And then I don't remember exactly. I was so angry, so desperate. When I came to, she wasn't breathing. You strangled her, Nafisa. The woman covered her face with her hands and burst into tears. I don't know what came over me. It wasn't me. It was like someone else was controlling my hands. And then I got scared, turned on the water in the bathtub, put her in there, wiped the blood off. I thought they'd think she slipped, hit her head. Malia's up. Nafisa Brooks, you are under arrest on suspicion of the murder of your daughter, Daisy Brooks. You have the right to remain silent. As the officer led a sobbing Nafisa away, Malia stared after her. Another family tragedy, another life cut short at the very beginning. all because of a fatal mix of love, betrayal, and jealousy. The video from the neighbor's camera was the final piece of the puzzle that finally disproved Nafisa's alibi. Malia Onyeko was going through the files on the Daisha Brooks case when there was a knock on her office door. Standing on the threshold was a petite black woman of about 45, with a short haircut and tired eyes. "Detective Onyeko?" she asked uncertainly with a slight accent. "My name is Beatrice Oluwafemi. I work with Nafisa Brooks at the cleaning company." Malia put aside the folder and gestured for the woman to sit down. "What can I do for you, Mrs. Oluwafemi?" Beatrice clutched her shabby purse nervously in her hands. "I heard about what happened to Daisha. It's terrible. And there's something I need to tell you." "I'm listening." "I may be responsible for what happened." Beatrice's voice trembled. "I wrote an anonymous letter to Nafisa the day before Daisha died. I told her about her daughter's relationship with her husband." Malia stepped forward. "How did you know about this relationship?" "I accidentally overheard them talking. It was about a week ago. I was cleaning an office building on Howie Street. Daisha sometimes worked there after school. That day, she was on the phone in the hall, thinking no one was around. She was talking to Abby." Beatrice stopped talking. She called him sweetheart. Talked about her pregnancy, about how happy they'd be together, about the tickets he'd bought, about the new life they'd start. "And you decided to tell Nafisa about it?" "Yes," Beatrice answered quietly. "Nafisa and I are not close friends, but I've known her for years. She talked a lot about her daughter, proud of her, and she spoke so fondly of her husband too. I thought she should know that every woman deserves to know the truth." "What exactly did you write in the letter?" Beatrice took a folded piece of paper out of her purse. "I made a copy before I sent it. I don't know why. Maybe I felt it would get me in trouble." Malia took the letter and read it. "Nafisa, you must know the truth. Your daughter and your husband are deceiving you. They are lovers. Daisha is pregnant with Ibi. They are planning to elope together on October 21st. They already have tickets bought. Check Daisha's bag or Ibi's records. I'm not signing because you know me, and I don't want to lose your respect, but as a woman to a woman, I had to tell you, I'm sorry." "When did you send this letter?" "October 19th. I left it in Nafisa's mailbox before her shift started." "The day before the murder," Malia said thoughtfully. "Do you realize that this letter could have triggered the tragedy?" Beatrice covered her face with her hands. "I do now. I didn't think. I just wanted to help. I didn't know Nafisa was capable of—" She couldn't finish the sentence. "Thank you for your confession, Mrs. Oluwafemi. It will help clarify many details in our investigation." After Beatrice left, Malia called her partner, Officer Ramirez. "We need to check the Brooks house again. Look for Abby's notebook or diary and see if the techs have accessed Daisha's cloud storage." An hour later, Ramirez came back with his findings. "In the hiding place under the floorboards in Abby's bedroom, we found this." He handed Malia a tattered leather notebook. "And the techs recovered some deleted messages from Daisha's phone and found an audio recording in her cloud storage. It sounded like a recording of a phone conversation." Malia opened the notepad. Abby's small, neat handwriting filled the pages. The entries were mostly about everyday matters, but near the end there were pages devoted to escape plans. "October 17th, tickets bought, Miami, then Mexico. We'll start all over again. Dee is worried about her mother, but I've convinced her it's the only way out. N will never understand or accept us." October 19th, final preparations. Withdrew the remaining money from the account. Dee is worried about morning sickness but says she is happy. I hope I can give her everything she deserves. Despite the age difference, I feel young around her. The last entry was dated October 20th, the day of the murder. Dee decided to talk to her mother today. I'm against it, but I can't change her mind. She's so stubborn. I'm afraid N will make a scene. I hope everything will be all right. We'll be free tomorrow. Malia turned on the audio recording on the computer. Daisha's voice sounded excited. "Hi, Talisha, it's me. I know it's been a while since I've called, but I've had so much going on. I can't tell you everything over the phone. I'm leaving New Haven tomorrow, for good, with Abby. Yeah, with my stepdad. I know it sounds crazy, but I love him, Talisha. And he loves me. We'll be together. And also, I'm pregnant. Almost 2 months. I'm so happy, you have no idea. I'm gonna tell my mom tonight. Abby's against it, but I can't just disappear without telling her. It's gonna be a hard conversation, but I have to do it. Then I'll call you later and let you know how it went. Wish me luck. Malia turned off the tape. It all fit. Daisha had planned to tell her mother about her relationship with her stepfather and the pregnancy on the very night of the murder. Call Nafisa and Abby in for a confrontation, she told Ramirez, and get all the case files ready. I want them both to see what we have. In the interrogation room, Nafisa and Abby sat across the table from each other. They didn't look at each other. Nafisa looked haggard, her eyes red from crying. Ebby seemed to have aged 10 years in those few days, his hands shaking as he tried to take a sip of water. Malia spread the crime scene photos, forensic results, Daisha's and Abby's diaries, a printout of the recovered messages on the table. We've gathered enough evidence to reconstruct a complete picture of what happened on October 20th, she began. Nafisa, you received an anonymous letter informing you of your daughter's relationship with your husband. Nafisa shuddered, but did not look up. That evening you left work earlier than usual, returning home around 7:30. Abby had gone to play chess with a friend. You ran into Daisha, and she confirmed the information from the letter. She was indeed pregnant by your husband, and they were planning to elope the next day. Ebby looked up at Nafisa. You knew. Is that why you— Shut up! Suddenly shouted Nafisa. You have no right to speak. You seduced my child. My child! Daisha was not a child, Ebby replied quietly. She was a young woman who knew what she wanted. She was 17! Nafisa's face contorted with anger. You were like a father to her. She trusted you and you used her. I loved her. Abby lowered his head. I know it was wrong. I know I shouldn't have. But I loved her. And me? Did you love me too when you married me? Or was I always just, a convenient cover? A way to be closer to her? Abby was silent, and that silence was more eloquent than any words. After the fight, Daisha went to the bathroom, Malia continued. You followed her. The conversation continued, and at some point you grabbed a heavy bottle and hit her over the head. Nafisa closed her eyes, tears streaming down her cheeks. She said I was never a good mother, that her child would never know me as a grandmother, that I was old, ugly, that I was smothering her with my love. She was scared, Nafisa, Abby said quietly. She was afraid of your reaction. That's why she said all those things. Shut up, shouted Nafisa again. You've ruined everything, everything I had. My daughter, my husband, my family, everything I lived for. Malia placed the crime scene photo on the table. After the blow, Daisha fell, but she was still alive. And then you strangled her, Nafisa. The woman sobbed, unable to speak. Then you tried to fake an accident, Malia continued. You filled the bathtub, put the body in it. But you forgot one detail, your blood under Daisha's fingernails. She fought for her life. She scratched you. Nafisa lifted her crying face to Malia. I didn't mean to, she whispered. I swear to God, I didn't mean to kill her. It was a moment of madness. I don't remember clutching her neck. I only remember her eyes, so frightened, and then empty. You killed her. Abby's voice shook with anger and grief. You killed our daughter, and our unborn child. She was my daughter, Nafisa screamed. Mine, not yours. You were nothing, just an old man who used us both. Malia signaled to an officer, and he led Abby out of the room. Nafisa Brooks, she said formally. You are under arrest for first-degree murder. You have the right to remain silent. After Nafisa was led away, Malia returned to her office and summoned Abby. Mr. Banks, I must inform you that you are also under arrest for sexual activity with a minor. Abi didn't resist as he was handcuffed. His face was lifeless, his eyes blank. "I deserve to be punished," he whispered. "I should have protected her. From Nafisa, from myself. But I was too selfish." Late that evening, when all the formalities were completed, Malia sat at her desk, reviewing the final report on the case. Based on the evidence she had gathered, she had reconstructed a complete picture of the tragedy. On October 19th, Nafisa had received an anonymous letter from her colleague Beatrice, informing her of Daisha's relationship with Abi, her pregnancy, and her escape plans. Nafisa did not believe it at first, but began to notice strange behavior in her husband and daughter. On October 20th, she left work early, calling in sick, and returned home. Ebi had already gone to a friend's house to play chess. Nafisa found Daisha packing and demanded an explanation. Daisha, realizing that there was no point in hiding any longer, confessed her relationship with her stepfather and her pregnancy. She said they loved each other and were leaving tomorrow to start a new life. An argument broke out, during which Daisha said many hurtful words to her mother, trying to justify her act. When Daisha went to the bathroom to calm down, Nafisa followed her. The girl continued to say hurtful words to her mother, and at some point Nafisa couldn't stand it. She grabbed a heavy bottle from the shelf and hit her daughter on the head. Daisha fell down, but was still alive. In a state of passion, Nafisa strangled her. After realizing what she had done, the woman tried to hide the traces of the crime. She filled a bathtub with water and put her daughter's body in it, hoping that her death would be considered an accident. Wiped the blood off with a towel she hid in the laundry hamper, smashed Daisha's cell phone and deleted her messages, then left and came home late at night when Abi was asleep. The next morning, they went shopping together and got a call about the tragedy. Nafisa played out her heartfelt grief, hoping that her involvement in her daughter's death would never be revealed. But the chain of evidence led inexorably back to her. The scratches on her hands, her blood under Daisha's fingernails, the neighbor's surveillance video, witness statements about the altercation, her lies about her whereabouts at the time of the murder. Malia closed the case file and rubbed her tired eyes. It was ironic. Wanting to keep her family together, Nafisa had destroyed it with her own hands. Jealousy, betrayal, forbidden love, eternal themes of human tragedies, and every time they lead to irreparable consequences. Ebi was awaiting trial for having sexual relations with a minor, even though technically the age of consent in Connecticut was 16. But the fact that he used his position as stepfather to seduce his stepdaughter was an aggravating factor. Nafisa was charged with first-degree murder, though her attorney would undoubtedly push for affect and seek a reclassification to a lesser charge. And Daisha, she was only 17, her whole life ahead of her, dreams, hopes, plans, and a baby that was never meant to be. 2 lives cut short in one moment of madness. Malia gathered her things and walked out of the station. A light rain drizzled outside, washing the dust off the sidewalks and trees. She lifted the collar of her jacket and headed for the car, thinking that the worst crimes are committed not by cold-blooded killers, but by ordinary people who are overwhelmed by too strong emotions, and how thin the line between love and hate, between loyalty and betrayal, and how easy it is to cross that line without realizing the consequences. There were no winners in this case, only victims, not just Daisha and her unborn child, but Nafisa, who had lost everything because of a moment of weakness, and Ebi, whose selfish passion had been the catalyst for the tragedy. That was the disappointing outcome of this story, a story of how love can kill when mixed with obsession, jealousy, and betrayal.